Welcome into the final episode of the year for Power Four Picks. We have the national championship game between Miami Hurricanes and the Indiana Hoosiers. This is a very tricky game to bet. I know me and Ethan, unfortunately, have been fading Indiana a little too much this season and a little bit for me in the playoffs. Has not paid out. They are undefeated. They look unstoppable. What they did last week to Oregon was eye opening. But then we have a Miami team who kind of has battled their way through the playoffs after probably not even going to make the playoffs. And now here they are in the national championship game. And also a little tidbit, a little fact here: this game is played at Miami Stadium, at their home field. They are the away team, whatever. I know it's a national championship game, so technically neutral site. There's going to be a lot of Hoosiers there, but no travel for Miami. Their own stadium, their own practice. Like it's a good spot for Miami. But this is still, like I said, a tricky game for me and Ethan, who have been fading the Hoosiers kind of all year. But this is an 8.5 point spread in favor of Indiana. Over under of this game is 47.5. Now, this spread is jumping up and down. Looks like it's consistently right now. We're recording on Friday. Right now, 8.5, but I'm seeing 9.5 on some books popping up. There's some eights, there's some nines, there's some 7.5. So by the time you guys see this line might shift a little bit. But like I said, it's a tricky game. I don't know if Indiana is going to win by 30 like they did against Oregon, or if Miami is going to win this game outright or keep it within a one-score game. So we're going to break this game down. Please let us know in the comments who you guys like in this game. Because, like I said, I think me and Ethan are going to have a little difficulty predicting this one. But we're going to give it our best here. But, Ethan, welcome. How are you feeling heading into the national championship game?
Yeah, not feeling very good. First, bet you didn't know I had this Miami jersey here. So it's actually not a Miami jersey. It's some local, I don't even know what team, but looks like a Miami jersey. So I had to throw it on. That does not mean I necessarily like Miami in this game. But yeah, it's an extremely difficult game to break down here. I don't know how to play it yet. So I'm going to give out a pick, but I'm kind of just going to give some information on this game mostly and, just kind of break it down, let people make their own opinions. But first, I do just want to point out, which you already did point out, Miami is the home team, but they are not in their home locker rooms. They are in the away locker rooms. I'm hearing that the crowd is probably going to be more Indiana than it is Miami, which kind of shocks me. But yeah, I don't know that there's much of a home field advantage for Miami outside of the fact that maybe, they're in their own beds, which I guess there's something to be said for that. But I almost like it more for IU because once they leave their house to head down to Miami, it's go time for them. It's a business trip. You focus and, you have one more game to play and that's all you're focused on. Where Miami, obviously you're focused, but you're at the facility, you're going back home, dealing with your own family and friends. And I just kind of like IU on the road in this spot here a little bit. But yeah, I really don't know what to do with this. I think you and I are both maybe expecting this to get up closer to 10 by kickoff, where I would think the value would be on Miami. At 8.5, it's very tough. I think it's the right line to take Indiana, but also I think there is some recency bias on the Hoosiers. Obviously, blowing out Oregon, blowing out Alabama before that. It's the undefeated team. They're kind of like the people are starting to buy in now to Indiana now that they've made it this far. And I don't know. It just feels like no one's giving Miami a chance to win this game. I do think Miami has a shot here, but, it's hard for me to say that they're better. I know their defense is fantastic, but Indiana has a really good defense as well. Indiana's offense is better. I think Mendoza is better than Carson Beck. He looked good against Ole Miss. I'll give him that, but he doesn't often blow me away with his play. I know he's a veteran, has more big game experience than what Mendoza has. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm pretty stuck here on the side. I don't really want to lay 8.5. I don't really want to take 8.5. I know you're not really supposed to tease college football. I don't mind getting Indiana down to -2.5 on a 6-point teaser, maybe pair with Buffalo up to +7.5 in the NFL. The only teams that Denver has beaten by more than a touchdown are two teams with the worst defenses, Cincinnati and Dallas, and then a Chargers team that rested all their starters. So I think that could be a good look for a teaser. That might be the way I play it. As far as my best bet goes, that I'll give out on the show, I'm going to lean first half under. Um, 23 and a half is the line I'm seeing. I would almost buy that to 24 or see if there is a 24 out there. I only checked one book to see that 23 and a half. So there are probably 24s out there. But I think there's a lot of recency bias towards the over both in game and first half. We saw Indiana put up 35 themselves against Oregon. Obviously, that was jump started by a pick six on the first play. Oregon's kind of playing with their hair on fire from there, and didn't even really give the first half under a chance, or really the full game under a chance in that one. And then in Miami versus Ole Miss, we also saw a lot of points in the first half. That game had 30 scored. Miami had 17. Ole Miss had the 13. That first quarter was just 3-0, and then they kind of exploded. Ole Miss had that huge 70-plus yard run to get them on the board, and kind of same thing. It just kind of exploded from there. I think both teams in this situation kind of play as not wanting to make the first big mistake in the game. You might see a little bit conservative from both sides, especially with the good defenses on both sides here. I think Miami could struggle early to move the ball. You might get an early touchdown out of Indiana with Mendoza, but I see this game being a little bit slower paced. Teams trying not to make a big mistake and give momentum to the other side. First half under 24, I'm going to say, because I think you can get that at a playable price. That's probably my best bet for this game as of right now. Also, would maybe look at Indiana in a teaser. And if you do like Miami, I think you have to sprinkle money line, because I see this as Miami winning the game outright or Indiana by a lot of points. So, which I guess in that case you would say, why don't you just lay the points with Indiana instead of the teaser? I don't know. Just don't feel comfortable. But that's kind of the way I'm seeing it. I know that's not very helpful, but I do like the first half under as my best bet.
Yeah, I'll give a game side for you guys in this matchup. I did post a video earlier this week on my personal page breaking down this game a little bit, and it's based on Indiana here. They've had 4 games within 10 points. That is a 5-point win against Iowa, a 3-point win against Penn State, a 3-point win against Ohio State. Then that first matchup against Oregon was a 10-point win for Indiana. So only 4 games this year that's been decided under double digits. So I do like. And I'll tell you why. But I'm actually going to get a little juicy here, and I'm just going to take the double digit dog here on Miami. I know the line right now is 8.5. I'm expecting, like you are as well, this line to keep creeping up towards Indiana. I'm seeing like 80% of the bets coming in on DraftKings on Indiana spread. So I'm hoping that line moves up a little bit, but I'm probably going to have to buy a little bit of extra points here on Miami. But I'm going to take Miami as a double digit dog, 10, 10.5. Whatever the odds are there. And the reason for this, in those 4 games where Indiana has won by 10 points or less, they have been held under 118 rushing yards. And I think that's the key to stopping Indiana here. Mendoza's great. He's a great decision maker. He's not a fantastic like yards passer. He's like a JJ McCarthy kind of, a little bit better than JJ. But just he doesn't have that many like 300-yard passing games. It just doesn't really happen. So I think the key to success for Indiana has been on the ground. They had 185 rushing yards against Oregon in that playoff game. They had 215 rushing yards against Alabama. They have multiple games this year with over 300 rushing yards. So I think if Miami wants to stop Indiana, they're going to have to stop the run game. And this is the best run defense statistically that Indiana has played. Miami ranks 5th in rush yards allowed per game. That's the best opponent that Indiana has played all year. Ohio State was 6th in that rushing yards per game, where, like I said, Indiana won that Big Ten championship game by 3 points, and they had 118 rushing yards. So I think this is a great rush defense for Miami. I think Miami's going to emphasis stopping the run and forcing Mendoza to have a phenomenal passing game. There's also only been one other game where Indiana's been held under that 118 rushing yards, which was a 31-7 win against Wisconsin, where they had only 83 rushing yards, but Mendoza did go off for 300 passing yards. So I think that's the key to success for Miami, to stop the run, force Mendoza through the air to beat them, which very well could happen. But I'm gonna, trust the really good run defense from Miami to keep this game under double digits. So, like I said, it's going to be a juicy bet here, and I apologize for the ugly juice, and you're gonna have to pay a little bit extra. But I'm gonna take Miami plus 10, plus 10.5. And hopefully they can keep this within a 1-score game. Ideally, this would be like a 3 to a 7-point Indiana win, which I think is very doable. in this game. But I have a hard time seeing Miami winning this game outright. I also have a really easy time seeing Indiana or Miami winning this game outright. I have a really easy um, uh, thought process that Indiana could win this game by 20 plus points, like we saw in both playoff games. Like that would not shock me in the slightest. But like I said, Miami's defense, I think if they have any sense in their head that they need to stop the run to stay in this game. So I'm going to hope that they can do it. So again, I apologize for the extra juice, but I am going to take Miami here at the double-digit dog. Hopefully that line, like I said, creeps up, so I don't have to pay as much to spread that or get that spread up there. But Ethan, anything else to add before we sign off for the last episode of Power Four Picks for the year?
Yeah, a couple things I just want to say quick. You know, it is Friday afternoon right now when we are filming, and yes, it is 8.5. I have to believe I'm not the only one thinking about teasing Indiana in this spot with a traditional 6-point teaser. The two best games you could tease it with are Buffalo plus 1.5, Seattle down from -7 to -1. Both games on Saturday. I think once the public gets involved, lines or bookmakers will have to move this line to 9.5 just to protect themselves from getting the Indiana down under a field goal. So at that point, you know, even if it closes 6.5 or 9.5, I'm sorry, you know, you're only buying a half point at that point to get up to 10. So I think that's a good move if it gets to 9.5 to buy that half point up to 10. And I do think we get up to 9.5 come tomorrow, Saturday, when public gets involved with those NFL games. They're going to want action on NFL and with Indiana. They might do money line parlays with Seattle and Indiana as well, which I'd be cautious of. But yeah, I think it goes to 9.5. So I do like that play. And then one last thing I wanted to mention here. I know people love player props. This is probably square. It's plus 155, but Malachi Toney anytime touchdown. Just the spark plug to this Miami offense. I think plus 155 is nice odds on him. I do think if this game goes, you know, kind of as projected here, not necessarily by us, but just where the line sits, Miami will be playing from behind, and oftentimes we see some gadget plays drawn up for Toney. Even if it's not a gadget play, we just, you know, he took that screen pass against Ole Miss for a touchdown that was just so well set up for him. They get him the ball. He is their best player. He is their playmaker. So at plus 155, you know, especially if they're trailing, they're going balls to the wall. I like Malachi Toney. I think he's a good look. Plus 155 anytime touchdown.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. He is a phenomenal player to watch. True freshman, by the way. He's gonna be scary for a couple years in college
Should be
football.
a senior in high school.
In high school, right, reclassified. Yeah, yep. No relation to Kadarius Toney, by the way. I did look that up. I know
Really?
they both are both in
I
the
thought they
state
were
of
brothers.
Florida. Now, according to Wikipedia, not related. But maybe
Really?
someone, you know, try to save Malachi from some drops with that data. I am seeing right now. Again, we're recording on Friday afternoon. You can get Miami plus 10 on the Score Sportsbook. I have no idea what the Score is, but I have the Sportsbook. I think it might be the old ESPN Bet or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. Okay,
Yep.
they're plus 10 at minus 130. So I like that quite a bit. Which again, this doesn't really make any sense. They're plus 8 at plus 100 on. Anyways, so that's a pretty good deal. If you do, like I said, I am going to tease it up. Minus 130 is a completely okay bet for me. I was expecting honestly 150 or above. So minus 130, yeah, I'm completely down for that. I'll lock that one in as my official bet. Miami plus 110, or sorry, plus 10 at minus 130 odds. I think that is a completely doable bet there. Is it going to win? Who freaking knows? But again, really tricky game to bet. Please let us know in the comments if you have a better read on this game or who you're taking in the college football national championship game. We'd love to see their comment and your prediction on this game. But until then, guys, make sure you guys do follow along Better in Green over on our YouTube page. It's our main page. If you guys do like our content, consider giving us a subscription. It greatly helps you or helps us continue to do this. Like I said, college football is coming to an end. This is our final game, but we are continuing producing content over here on Better in Green. We have our NFL playoff show out. We're covering NBA, NHL, college basketball, soccer, UFC, MMA starting up in a couple weeks as well. So we cover it all over here at Better Green. Might even get some golf videos out for you guys. It's a tricky golf. We'll try to figure out how to get you guys that content. But we cover it all over here. So consider subscribing on our YouTube page. It greatly helps us. But good luck in this game. Enjoy. Hopefully you got the day off on Martin Luther King Day on Monday. Enjoy the game, and hopefully you guys can win some money. And we'll see you next year for Power 4 picks, where Michigan, new coach. I don't know.
State, new coach.
State, new coach. A lot of new coach. We'll probably be fitting LSU quite a bit next year. But we appreciate you guys. Good luck, good scores, and we'll see you in our next one. Later, guys.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Welcome. You better win green, eh? You better win green, eh? You better win green, eh? Listening to cash out, that's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top. Hey, shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome to our podcast. Better win green.